Okay, there we go. Hey, my name is Reginald Hutchins. This is my BTNY returner lesson. And my theme this time is setting, finding the setting in a piece of literature. All right, when you come in, have a seat and we'll get started on our review now. All right. All right, so what we're going to do is, for our do now, today our focus is basically finding the setting in a piece of literature. So in front of you, you have our guided notes. I want you to look at that, and we're going to read the poem by Robert Frost, Stopping in the Woods on a Snowy Evening. And in this poem, I want you to read it first, and I want you to think about what you think the setting of this poem is. Now, if you can't see it on your guided notes, I've taken the liberty of putting it on the PowerPoint for you to take a look at. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to look at that, and then I want you to think about what you think the setting of this poem is. When you're done looking at it, I'm going to have all eyes on me. I'm waiting on one set of eyes. So quickly, I'm going to have one person raise their hand and volunteer what they think this poem, the setting of this poem is. Jeremiah?
I think the setting's in the woods.
In the woods? Okay, can someone further elaborate? Jerome?
I agree with the woods, but maybe a mountainous area somewhere near water.
Now, can someone, one of you two who gave me an answer, tell me how you got that answer?
From when it says in the poem, he will not. Wait, that's not the right line. When they mentioned the farmhouse.
All right, so when I got this poem, I got pretty much the same interpretation. That is in the woods on a snowy evening, mountainous area, frozen. There's a frozen river mentioned in here, and this makes me think that this is a winter setting. Can I get a volunteer to read the objective?
I'll read it. Objective. Today you will be able to define setting and properly identify all aspects of the setting for a literary work.
Improving behavior.
By following the provided guided notes, analyzing both concrete and abstract clues, and making a setting T-chart.
So why is this important? It's important because when you're reading a piece of work and you don't quite understand what the setting is, it kind of throws off the plot and everything else that happens in this piece of work. And so, yeah, we kind of went over what the setting was in this poem, but we didn't go deep enough to fully understand what was going on in this poem. So what I've done is I've created a lesson for us to basically figure out what two major skills we need to figure out the setting of not just a poem, but a play or a novel or any other type of literary work. So if you guys will turn to the first page of your guided notes, we're going to go ahead and figure out what setting is. So as you follow along in your guided notes, I took the liberty of looking up and defining what setting is. Can I get a volunteer to read what setting is, the definition? Jeremiah?
The surrounding or environment of anything. 2. The locale or period in which a novel, play, or film takes place.
So this right here is basically a definition that is broader than just literary work. We could say the setting of this is Morehouse College because we're all here at Morehouse. Or we could say the setting of this is in the suites at Morehouse College. If I think about setting, I think about my life and how my life was the setting of my life. I was born Friday, August 13th, 1993 in Atlanta, Georgia. Now that gives you pretty much the setting of when and where I was born. And so what you have to think about when you think about setting is answering these questions. Who, what, when, and where. So what I want you guys to do is, I want you to turn to the person next to you, and because there's only 3 of you, talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you 30 seconds to talk amongst yourselves to basically figure out the setting, your personal settings, like when is my birthday, or whatever the setting of something significant that happened in your life. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that.
March 10th, 1992.
January 21st, 1993, in Detroit, Michigan.
And I was born on Tuesday, March the 2nd, 1993, Jackson, Mississippi. But of something significant that happened in my life. I know what it is. One of
Go ahead.
I think about one of the significant achievements in my life when I became Mr. Jamil, and I was actually in the foyer of the school, on the side foyer of the school rather, and there was at 3:25 p.m. on Tuesday, September the 10th, 2011, and it was, I guess it was a hollow house. No one was in the hall but my campaign manager and myself. So that's the.
Jared just did a really good thing in pushing us into thinking more about from setting as being who, what, when, and where, and pushing us into the broader idea, which we're going to get to later in the presentation, which is how setting can dictate plot, and how him being in the foyer with his campaign manager at, you said 3:25 p.m., it kind of set up like this dramatic setting for when he found out that he was going to be Mr. Jim Hill. So in figuring out parts of your setting, there are two main things we focus on. There are concrete details and abstract details. Now, by a show of hands, who knows what a concrete noun is? No one's ever heard of concrete noun? Well, a concrete noun is a noun that you can see or touch. So this is a chair. It's a noun. We can see or touch it. But love is also a noun. We can't see or touch it, but it's an abstract idea. Now, it's kind of different from, concrete details are a little different from concrete nouns. Concrete details are details that are clearly outlined inside of a piece of writing or a literary word. You guys pointed out the snowy ground, the mountainous area, the cold terrain, and you saw that simply by looking at what was in the piece of work that that Robert Frost wrote in this poem. So when we have concrete details, we look at the who, the what, the I chose to redo the Starship song by Nicki Minaj. So here we go. Finding setting can be so fly when you read between the lines. Details, they do arise. Figure out what they imply. Oh, concrete and abstract lines make up this setting rhyme. Reading is so much fun. Can't stop. We're reading like investigators. We're reading like investigators. We're reading like investigators.